But that made me realize how judgmental I was about my own sexuality. And I remember I kept going and I kept touching myself and enjoying it and using my intuition, you know?
Amazing.
And eventually I started to feel tingly and I started to just be like, oh my God, this is not bad. This is not a sin. So the more I think oxytocin got flowing in my body, eventually I did have a whole, you know, full range orgasm, like nothing I had ever had. And this is at 38 years old by myself. And I was like, this is great, you know? Why didn't I do this before? And I was just crying, thinking I'm 38 and this is the first time I've really connected to my sexual energy, body, pleasure.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Seasons podcast. I am Daniela Climaco, mother, wife, entrepreneur, and the Seasons podcast host. Here we are for women and all of it, all the seasons of our lives, the beautiful, the bad, the good, the gorgeous, the thriving, and we have an incredible guest today that I can't wait to introduce. And for those that don't know, we're going to find out how incredible Michelle Alva is. She is an intimacy coach, a tantra coach, and the creator of the ALVA Method. So I am so excited today to share her wealth of knowledge. And thank you so much for coming, Michelle.
Thank you for having me, Daniela.
I am so excited to have this talk with you because I always bring it up for myself. Oh, I'm going to my tantra coach. And everyone's kind of like, ooh. So please tell us in your words where to start. What is tantra?
So tantra is a way of being that is very much connected to our nature, who we really are. And like, as you have two children, they love to smell and taste and explore, and they're curious and they're connected. And it just is a way of living where we are embracing all our emotions, the full gamut of our creativity. And that also includes being in touch with our hearts, our sexuality, and our essence, which is bioelectric. You know, we are electrical beings, bioelectric, having these human experiences. And I'm just keeping it in a very simple way because just like it's hard to understand what chocolate is unless you taste it and put it in your mouth.
I love that analogy. Okay.
Tantra seems to be something that people struggle to understand because you can't really understand it by thinking. It's by feeling. And a lot of us have disconnected from our feeling. We're too much in our minds, analyzing, criticizing in anxious or worrisome states where you're not going to find Tantra unless you feel safe and supported, and that you could be vulnerable, and that you could be yourself and be ultimately free. It's a path to freedom and liberation and connecting to our most authentic beingness. So rather than doing and going on that hamster wheel, it is about really embodying who you are at the deepest core level.
I love that.
And so it has to do with also how we breathe. And so we're breathing expansively. It also brings us into our senses. So the more you're in the senses, meaning through your five senses, so the sense of smell, the sense of taste, touch, the more you can be here now, which is in the present moment, fully.
Hard,
Tantra teaches us how to tap into the physical body, but then we also transcend the physical body to the ecstatic body, and we also get to connect to the divine, our divinity, through that expansive awareness of our beingness. But we're never going to know what that is if we're thinking, analyzing, and judging. So it's a path of knowing yourself in a deep way, and then that reveals to you oneness. You feel really connected to the nature, to animals. You care more about the earth from the practices of Tantra, and we care more about each other. Because we get to feel who we really are, which is ultimately love. So what I've done is I've taken the science of love, because I come from a background of physical therapy. I graduated 30 years ago as a physical therapist.
So tell me how your path went from physical therapy. You also mentioned that you worked with kids, and then how that transitioned to the ALVA Method, where you are now, how you're helping people.
Yeah.
I'd love to let everyone know.
I felt that I wanted to be a physical therapist from the time I was 17, 18 years old, and I just started at Florida International University.
Okay.
And I had met someone that was in a car accident, and their physical therapist taught them how to walk.
Incredible.
So just that one moment, I was so inspired, and I said, I want to help people how to walk.
Yes.
To learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
And I'm a Cancer. I'm very nurturing. I always want to mother everyone. And so it was the perfect profession for me.
That's amazing.
And I learned yoga when I was 17 years old, and I started to learn about mindfulness meditation. I was vegetarian from 15 years old to 31. So I started in this lifestyle, being exposed to natural wellness, mind-body medicine. I mean, I used to try to bend metal when I was like 12 years old, sitting staring at a fork.
Yes.
I remember doing this. So I've always been interested in different things.
Yeah.
And just really the power of our mind.
Yes.
Something told me that we are so powerful. So I actually started in pediatrics as a physical therapist. For 8 years, I practiced.
Unbelievable.
And I integrated yoga for the special child. I became
I
a
love that.
yoga teacher for children with special needs.
Yes.
And then I became an infant massage instructor and teaching moms how to bond with their babies
I love that.
by learning infant massage and helping them with their colic, and just how to hold your baby and talk to your baby and doing baby sign language. So even babies can sign at 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. It's
I have
really
seen
amazing.
that. I have seen that. That's incredible. So you're helping women, moms, babies.
Yeah, and then I became pregnant, and
Okay.
I was actually teaching prenatal yoga when I was
amazing.
pregnant.
Amazing.
And then mom and baby yoga.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I wound up having a C-section and felt like such a failure.
Oh, my
I put so much pressure on myself that I was supposed to be having an orgasm during birth.
Oh,
you know how they have
gosh.
orgasmic birth?
Yes.
And then in the water, and I failed at both. And so I learned, becoming a mom, that was like the biggest aha moment of how much pressure I put myself under and all the expectations I had of my own self.
Yes.
When that little baby, you know, she didn't care how she came out.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been an interesting journey to right now. I also was not very connected to my sexuality for most of my life because I had sexual trauma when I was 15 years old. I didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
And that caused me to have a lot of shame and guilt because I was raised Catholic.
Yes.
And all I ever heard was the Virgin Mary. Growing up as a teenager, that you're supposed to be a virgin until you get married and then lose your virginity.
Right.
So when that happened with the teenager, I didn't want it to happen, but I wanted to be loved. And my dad had left, and I felt really lonely.
Yes.
And I feel as though, I mean, after doing a lot of therapy around this, I just wanted attention.
Of course.
And it was very traumatizing because it hurt and I bled, and I didn't have anybody to tell this what happened.
Right.
And my mother was raised very Catholic, and I mean, she wanted to be a nun at some point. So I couldn't go to my mom and say, you know, just to vent.
Yes.
And my
this
dad
happened
had
to
left
me.
and gone to another country after the divorce. So my family's from Peru.
Okay.
And I created a lot of tension in my physical body.
Yes.
And I didn't even realize it until later on in life and learning. I became a pelvic floor physical therapist.
Incredible.
And it's amazing how our mess is our message.
Because I
Because
love
for
that.
me,
Our mess is our message.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
sex was painful for me, and I have to say I never really was into it. In the beginning of my life, I didn't know Tantra.
Yes.
I
And
did
a
not
lot of women
know
experience
what
that.
it could be.
Yeah.
And my heart was definitely not connected to my sexuality
Right.
for many years of my life, because I feel as though when my dad, to me, it was as if my dad died when I was 15.
Oh my gosh,
So I don't know
yeah.
how many people are listening that your dad lost touch with you, or I don't think they realize how important they are.
Yeah.
But I really feel as though I grieved. I didn't get to grieve actually after the divorce because I couldn't say, Mom, where's Dad?
Right.
Why isn't he writing to me? Why isn't he sending you money?
Yeah.
You know, where is he?
Yeah.
And I harbored a lot of sadness, which became anger.
Yes.
So I was a very angry woman and angry at my mother, angry at life, angry at myself, expecting a lot, not feeling worthy. I wasn't really a fun person to be around. And
I can't imagine that, to be honest.
I mean, I've done so much healing about it.
It's incredible.
And I wanted to know what it's like to be happy and
Yes.
fulfilled.
Yes.
And I actually was in a relationship for 20 years of my life.
Wow.
I married my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I had an amazing daughter. I have an amazing daughter.
Incredible.
He's amazing. But I couldn't love, I couldn't enjoy, I couldn't really, I guess, be 100% available to the love that was possible there.
You hadn't found your essence.
Yeah, and I saw the movie Eat, Pray, Love.
Okay, yes.
And that movie really made me see myself. I was
Yes.
Julia Roberts in that movie. I didn't get to go to Bali, but I was the one crying in the bathroom,
Right.
collapsing in the floor and just crying and
Right.
saying, what did I do? Like,
Yeah.
I've created this life where I'm a physical therapist. I look happy on
Yep.
the outside,
Yep.
but in the inside, I really wasn't living for me. And I didn't even know what that really was.
Yes.
Because I feel like I put my former husband on a pedestal. I treated him like he was God.
Yeah.
And he was valedictorian of our high school. And he eventually became a doctor.
Yeah.
And I felt as though I just always was subservient to him. And kind of like, I didn't even realize this until recently, where
Right.
I feel as though I glorified him in a way because I wasn't worthy of him.
Right.
And that was all internal. That was
Yeah.
all in my own mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because how could he love me for me? I'm broken. You know, my dad left. I'm damaged goods. I lost my virginity with someone else. So all these stories I told myself.
Absolutely. And we all do that. Everything that you're saying resounds with me.
Like I'm talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And I still feel love.
Yeah.
But before, probably I would have never been able to say all that in one mouthful.
Yes.
So I've processed the shame, the guilt,
Incredible.
the blame. I'm realizing it right now as I'm looking at your beautiful smile, and you know, and I think that's what I've dedicated my life after the divorce.
Yeah.
I had a divorce 14 years ago, and I was not a nice wife. I would point the finger. I would beg him to come to yoga class. I feel bad like right now saying this, but I was always trying to get him to change, and you got to come to yoga with me, and you need to do this and you need to do that.
Yes.
And I was pointing the finger constantly, and 3 fingers are pointing back at me.
Right.
And I learned that you're cutting his balls off, you know, anytime you're emasculating a man,
Right.
when you're telling him what to do. And I mean, my mom wasn't very nice to my father. And I basically became my mother. You know, the thing that sometimes we don't want
happens,
that.
Yeah.
And then
That's
eventually,
your role model. That's what happened to me. That's what happens to a ton of women. Yeah.
but by the time I was 37 years old, I was so miserable and bitching and fighting. And my daughter was 6 years old. And I remember her saying, "Stop yelling."
Yeah.
And she was only 6 years old and in the other room. And I think that's when it hit me, like, this is not healthy, Michelle.
Yeah.
And we were going to therapy.
Yeah.
But we were just not, it wasn't vibing. It wasn't, and I really wanted it to work because in the Catholic religion, you're not supposed to get a divorce either.
Right.
And so, I mean, out of desperation, I manifested a way of getting out of the marriage. And 6 months later, I was divorced.
Okay.
And I felt so guilty and so just not in a good place. And I went to therapy. And so that's 14 years ago, everybody. And I set on a mission to learn how to love myself.
I love that so much.
But it came from shame and guilt.
Yes.
It wasn't from a pure, like a godly place.
Yes. Which is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just keeping it real.
No, it's okay because I think for me, I have mentioned on this podcast and in my life, I still, from my sexual abuse experience, have tons of shame and anger towards my father still and God. So I hear everything that you're saying, but that makes you so human.
Yeah, and I hated men too because my dad abandoned. Okay, so this is the part where the crazy thing is, years later, I met up with my father and I asked him, "Why didn't you keep in touch?"
Yeah.
And he was estranged. He never really came back.
Okay.
And then he developed, I guess, dementia. So
Okay.
he was checked out. And he recently passed in January 3rd of this year.
Yes.
But the amazing thing was, he told me, Michelle, your mom was mean to me. And I had to leave. And I was so hurt at how she treated me that I guess I just blocked it out.
Yeah.
So because he was mad at her, he didn't talk to his 3 children.
Right.
And here I had spent years of therapy, years of why isn't my dad keeping in touch?
It's me.
And then attracting unavailable men. And my dad's just giving me the excuse, well, your mom wasn't nice to me. And so I feel as though I was like, oh my God, I put so much of my self-esteem on what my father did.
Yes.
I did that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he said to me, but I never stopped loving my gordita. And he said, it was the hardest thing for me because I love you. You're my princesita.
Yeah.
And so I just cried and I was like, motherfucker. Like I made up, I'm sorry.
No, please.
I made up all these stories about my self-worth based on what my father, his actions. And it just made me realize like, wow, I wasted so much of my life. But I perfectly did that to then never allow anyone, to the best of my ability, to affect my self-esteem.
Yeah.
And also for me to stop making up stories about the meaning something is. If somebody rejects you, Wayne Dyer says it's a redirection. So rejection is a redirection.
I love that.
And what if I could have just thought, oh, okay. And it's the same thing with losing my virginity so young. What if I could have just said, Michelle, that was the best you could have done. I didn't have to shame, blame,
and that's the
persecute.
Truth.
But honestly, in the Catholic religion, I saw Jesus hanging on the cross every Sunday. And I just assumed I got to hang myself on the cross too. You know, doing anything that I ever did wrong, I got to persecute myself. I got to suffer.
Absolutely.
So these are things that today I realize my life is a lot easier today.
Amazing. I mean, this is incredible because I just learned so much about you, and your energy and your light and your love oozes always when people meet you, when I met you. And I love to hear that,
like that, though.
But I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes you so human and it makes you so relevant, and it helps other women, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, and I'm 52 today. I say I'm 50 true. And
You're beautiful.
Sometimes I look back and I think, well, I'm amazed. Like, you have your own podcast, you're totally spilling your beans, and you're only in your 30s.
But it's also a different time and a different generation.
Yeah.
And that's honestly...
Which is amazing. I wanted to add. Yeah.
I mean, thank you. But I want to take credit, but I also really do this because of exactly this story and hearing it over and over.
And hopefully a woman
countless women, feel still right now feeling shame, feeling guilt, not have even said it out loud that happened to me.
So many women.
So many women and men.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad we can share about this. Because
and that's why I made this space, because the truth is that I would hear it and I could finally talk about it. But like you said, with therapy, with having a supportive husband, with being able to be open about it, but it affected everything. Mm-hmm. My self-worth, sex, being touched just in general, hate for men. I mean, countless of women are feeling the same. And for us being able to share our story,
well,
they can find freedom.
Yes.
And I thank you for that.
I can totally turn it around.
Absolutely.
I'm living proof. And even the men thing, I remember being afraid as a Tantra practitioner. So that led me. So eventually, just to get to the story, right?
Please.
Started in physical therapy, went into pediatrics, got a divorce.
Yes.
And then these are the cliff notes. And then on that journey of divorce, I wanted to learn how to orgasm by myself.
Right.
And I had never touched
Getting
myself
back in touch
for
with
pleasure.
yourself, right.
I don't know if I told you this, but I never
no.
masturbated until I was 37, 38 years old.
Wow, yeah.
And it might have even been a year later after the divorce.
Okay.
And I remember laying in bed. My daughter wasn't there. You know, it was one of the days that she was with Daddy. And I remember looking around and being like, I wonder if God's watching me.
Oh, gosh,
and
yes.
I got some massage oil and started massaging me myself. myself and I know my parts because I have a pelvic floor physical therapy background.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
I just started to feel like I want to get to know myself for me.
Yeah.
And I never had done that for me. I always thought that was for my husband.
Yes.
Like my body is for my husband.
Yes.
And for him to have pleasure.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was a sin.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, even though I wasn't a practicing Catholic
and many
anymore.
religions make it that way, that you are serving your husband, or sex is just to have kids.
But that made me realize how judgmental I was about my own sexuality. And I remember I kept going and I kept touching myself and enjoying it and using my intuition, you know?
Amazing.
And eventually I started to feel tingly and I started to just be like, oh my God, this is not bad. This is not a sin.
Yeah.
So the more I think oxytocin got flowing in my body,
Absolutely.
Eventually I did have a whole, full range orgasm.
Yes.
Like nothing I had ever had. And this is at 38 years old by myself. And I was like, this is great,
Yes.
Why didn't I do this before? And I was
know.
just crying, thinking I'm 38 and this is the first time I've really connected to my sexual energy, body, pleasure for me. And this is not a sin.
Yes.
And then I had like a wave of anger towards the whole Catholic religion and then an anger about my mom. It was so healing for me.
It is
I
so
had like all
healing.
this coming through me.
Full body.
And I share that story because how many of us even think it's important to touch ourselves? Or I do work with a lot of women that say, I don't want to put my finger in there. I want to use a wand, ew, gross, or like every woman has a different relationship to that part of her body.
Absolutely.
And it's always has to do with how we were raised as children.
Yes.
What is our religious background?
Yes.
And then what happened to us?
Right.
Because some of us have never felt pleasure with penetration.
Yeah.
A man penetration, or I've also had clients where they became more desiring of being with a woman because she just felt it's never going to happen with a man having something, or they want to be safe. And so it's just amazing the different things that happen to us because of our traumas.
Absolutely.
That today, after working 30 years with people, I'm inspired now to share more the wisdom, but also my own journey, being 52, having, I feel very juicy, very alive.
That's
very,
incredible.
My libido is, I feel like a teenager.
That's incredible.
And I get good sleep, I eat good food, and I just watch around me my peers my age that are going through menopause and having major shifts in their hormonal happiness, harmony, where I feel it's important to talk about chronic stress and chronic unprocessed sexual trauma that contribute to your menopause, that I really feel Tantra and the practices of breathing, tantric sensual pleasure practices, just tantric experiences that help me to connect my heart with my sacred body and my sensuality have led me to today. Sexuality is sacred for me. My body is sacred, and I don't want to hurt myself or objectify myself the way I did when I was younger. And I feel that I'm with God, creator, source, universe all the time.
Incredible.
And I feel very alive. So like the wind could be blowing up my skirt. I could be walking to the beach or at an event or something, and my nipples will get hard, my inner thighs, just feeling the wind.
That's incredible.
Or I'll eat something good, or just like right now we had the cacao, sold cacao. I'll have a little drink of cacao, and I'm like, la, 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 la. I'm feeling the anandamides, and everything is just more sensational. And that has changed. Like I feel very alive.
Incredible.
And before, maybe I was more bored with myself, where today I feel more, I'm having a party and nothing's happening. I'm just here. Just being here now.
Alive. I love that.
Yeah.
And coming out of the physical body. And I think a lot of women, including myself, and that's why I started working with you.
The more that you are like this.
Yes, but I guess the way that I conceptualize it is the mind is always running, especially someone who has 2 kids and a business and a husband, and not fully, have I been to countless of hours of therapy and years? 100%. the more and more I go through it, and I'm 37, I realize I'm still angry and I'm still processing and I'm still going through it. Have I forgiven myself? Maybe. And there are days where I am like, okay, I'm going to feel angry. I'm angry, but making that okay. And I love how you said, like, in that moment of your orgasm, you were angry, you were everything, you were angry, euphoric. But I think that's the beauty, really, because you're learning how to reintegrate, like you said.
And orgasm is so healing, and I'm not talking about orgasm where we just touch our clitoris and have a lower from the waist down orgasm, which is what I would say most women do know. Like, we even just want to get off on ourselves a lot of time. I'm just keeping it real.
Right.
I work with women.
Yes.
But also with men, where we objectify ourselves. We just think, oh, okay, let me go relax. Let me go. So with tantric orgasm, whole body orgasm, you're breathing and expanding your heart. You're feeling the ecstatic, energetic, bioelectric being.
Right.
And that's abundance.
Yeah.
That's wholeness.
Yes.
And that secretes oxytocin, the healing hormone.
Right.
So when you love someone, you're making love with them, you actually are processing all your shit.
Yeah.
Whatever you've been holding is gonna come up.
Right.
And that's what happened to me. I was so open to being vulnerable with myself that, I mean, I'm sure people can relate and comment down below.
Of course. Everyone, I mean.
You start to cry, or you're like, why am I thinking about this? But it's because you're releasing the love hormone in your orgasmic essence of being. There's these neurochemicals. So how beautiful that creator, God, source, whoever invented us, made it so that orgasm is actually a healing of whatever you've been storing in your tissues.
Right.
And the more we can feel safe with that's why it is important to feel safe with your partner.
Absolutely.
To have a connection to your partner, which you might be surprised. There's a lot of couples. Sometimes I had a woman say, he just comes home from work and he does it to me, and I'm half asleep sometimes, and I don't care. He just needs to release.
Right.
So that's not what I'm talking about. Tantra is about seeing each other, being with each other, and then being open to the healing force of creativity, sexuality, divinity that is in our creative, sacred, sexual energy.
Yeah. And that's the truth, like, that I keep going back to, because, I mean, I'm guilty of that also. Like, it's just...
I think we all are.
I think we all are. I
Yeah.
think we all are. But I love, you know, and you can totally say that I'm sick of hearing this, because I hear it also, like, oh, you had to go through that in order to be this person. And
of course you did.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, great. I had to go through it. But it's the truth, because that's life.
Well, I used to be hard on myself.
Yeah.
That I'm now in my 50s, and that it took me, honestly, sometimes I have, but then what I realize is people weren't ready for me. Like, actually everything's happening perfectly.
I agree.
And
I love hearing
honestly,
that from you all the time, because
so much
I agree.
wisdom. Yeah.
I agree.
That I could have never known what I know now.
Yes.
But it was my journey.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with everybody's journey. Your journey is perfect for you.
Yes.
Your journey is perfect for you.
Yes.
And the more we can just choose to grow from it, and be grateful for our journey. And it's not really about getting anywhere other than right here, right now.
I love that.
So that's the other thing that I really, can I show up as the fullest expression of compassion, acceptance, love, forgiveness right now with myself, and not force it with someone else.
Right.
You know, because it is important to be processing your angers, and that's why I got a machete. That's why I chop coconuts.
I know.
Some people go to the punching bag,
yes.
but I like to chop coconuts.
That's incredible.
To release my emotions.
And, you know, another part that I keep hearing that keeps coming up for me right now is the idea of intimacy. And I think for a lot of women, for myself for years, it was a job. Like, when I was younger, when I was in my teens, I was exploring and I wanted to, and I masturbated because it felt good and I wanted to know what that felt like. But I don't think at that point in my life I connected the trauma with sex yet. And so as I grew, it almost became an excuse, I guess. You know, I didn't want to for certain positions or oral sex, or because I couldn't fathom why, though. Like, it didn't connect the past trauma with what I was going through. And then it becomes a job. You know, it's something that we have to do. And some people say, like, schedule it, but like, which is wonderful. And there's a lot of beauty in that also, but it becomes a job. And then while you're there, for me at least, tons of disconnect, like just going through the motions. You know, they come and, okay, great, it's over. Thank God it's over. You know, not fun, not enjoying it, not ever, like you said, like, this is about me. How can I enjoy this as a woman on my own time, but with my partner? Like, how to create that connection.
And nobody ever said to me, Michelle, your body pleasure doesn't matter. Make it all about your husband.
Right.
Somehow I learned as a girl,
Same.
The unconscious messages
Yep.
that it's for your man. It's all about the man.
Yep.
Pleasure the man.
Yep.
You know, and then for you to actually lay there. So this is where Tantra, I happen to, you know, because I was a pelvic floor physical therapist.
I was going to ask you, so
my Tantra
where did you find Tantra?
This woman reached out to me.
Okay.
And she said, oh, I'm starting a Tantra practitioner training, and I know you're a physical therapist,
Okay.
pelvic floor.
Yeah.
I see your posts, or somehow I had met her, and she asked me if I wanted to join her first training.
Amazing.
And then my intuition just said yes.
Okay.
I didn't even know what
Didn't even think
Tantra
about
was.
it, right.
But I knew Sting
Okay.
did a lot of Tantra.
Oh,
And this
okay.
was like, I don't know how many years ago. But the first Tantra class, the first Tantra experience was about yoni massage, vulva,
Yes.
vagina massage.
Yes.
And in this room of 16 women,
Wow.
that was the first thing we had to do to each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was interesting because it reminded me of the pelvic floor physical
Right,
therapy
right.
women's
So-
courses.
right.
But it was quite different, you
Okay.
know, because we use pee-pee pads. You know, it's very with gloves. The physical therapy
The physical
courses,
therapy portion of it,
you know,
yes.
pelvic floor
Yes,
trainings.
yes.
The Tantra trainings, there was gloves are optional.
Right.
You're laying on sheets, comforters.
Yes.
It's all like a healing center.
Incredible.
So I'm so happy that I got to experience this training. I did a few trainings in my past, and also with men, working with men. And today I teach men how to connect to their prostate, which the prostate for a man, I don't know if you knew this, ladies, is the G spot for a woman.
No.
And men can have whole body orgasms
Wow.
through prostate joy.
Okay. Good
Getting
to
in
know.
touch with their prostate. But, you know, those big Latino men that are
Yeah.
like, there's nothing going up my ass,
Right.
you know, or you're not touching my booty.
Right.
So I have women that are more open-minded. They're like, Michelle, what can I do to my husband? You know,
That's
it's
incredible.
different.
Right.
So
Right.
I literally have worked with women. I have a pelvic floor model
That's
of a
incredible.
man's genitalia, and I've
Yeah.
taught women how to get to know more his body, his
incredible.
anatomy.
Right.
And that to me is a part where people could be married for 20 to 30 years and they've never gone there.
Right.
So this is the deepest part of a man
Yeah.
and the deepest part of a woman. So it's interesting how when people are ready, they're ready to go physically deeper
Yeah.
inside,
Right.
and how the body is just a metaphor
Yeah.
for the depth of your desire of intimacy.
Right.
But what comes up to share is many of us struggle with intimacy.
Yes.
Because when you allow yourself to be seen and you're completely naked, vulnerable, allowing yourself to be in this place where you can really truly be yourself,
Yes.
it's scary because it's so healing.
Yeah.
And everything that you've been suppressing,
Yeah.
all the traumas, all the dramas, all the hurts, you're so relaxed
Yep.
that they start to bubble up.
Yeah.
And I call them emotional farts.
Okay. I
'Cause
love
it's
that.
kind of like a fart.
Yeah.
When you're so relaxed
Yeah.
and you feel like, oh shoot, I'm gonna fart, you know?
Right.
And then people close down
Yeah.
and they put their tail in between their legs,
Yes.
and it's much safer to just keep it inside
Yep.
rather than, because we don't really know what's gonna come out. It's scary.
Yeah.
And the more it comes out, the more emotions I'm talking about, the more you don't know what else is gonna be coming out of there.
Right.
And so I think that's, so many of us struggle with letting ourselves be seen.
Yes.
We ourselves being witnessed, though, one of those cries could release 7 years of therapy.
Absolutely.
You know? And so how many of
Absolutely.
us have relationships where we really feel we are not gonna be judged, we're not gonna be criticized, we're not gonna be made fun of.
Yeah.
And I feel that's partly why so many people hire me, I work with a lot of husbands
Yeah.
that are in marriages that have lost that love and feeling,
Right.
or they're going through a divorce,
Yeah.
or they're a widow, or they're having erection challenges or prostatitis. And then women that are 60 and they're, they are a widow and she wants to learn how to orgasm,
Yeah.
or they're 50 and they're in menopause
Right.
and their libido has gone down,
Yep.
or they're dry and their husbands are wanting them to. But how many women are running to get, learn tantra for themselves?
Right.
It's usually the husband that's complaining, or they're motivated because the doctor
Yes.
said, maybe learning more how to also nurture yourself sensually may help your hormones,
Yeah.
or may help. But it's not really like the norm to say, oh, whole body orgasm is so healing for me. It's
No,
rejuvenating.
it's not
it
at
helps
all.
balance my hormones and
Yeah.
help my sleep.
Right.
So I'm here as an advocate to let women know, if you want to tap into your joy, if you want to be more magnetic, because whole body orgasm is also, that means getting in touch with your heart for yourself and knowing your soul, knowing your essence, not just for someone else, which a lot of times I think we're focused externally.
Yes.
So this is about getting to know the deepest parts of your anatomy,
Right.
your sexual anatomy, which your creative energy is your sexual energy,
Yep.
but it's also creates life.
Yeah.
Creates new businesses, new ideas, a book, poems, songs,
Happiness.
joyful vacations.
Yes.
Yeah, and joy,
Yes,
which is
joy.
extreme happiness.
Yes.
And so a woman's face, you could you could tell when a woman is orgasmic or
Right,
not.
right.
The women that are, with the eyes here, very always like this, they're more in their head. So that when a woman is just more smiley, radiant, I've noticed how a woman's face changes the more she becomes more orgasmic.
Right.
So there is something about it that I think is worth paying attention to.
Absolutely, yes.
But we're so used to buying the creams, the products.
Correct.
you know,
And that's all over social
media.
media. Take this, use this. But to your point, that makes us feel even more broken. Take this, do this. We're dry or we're in pain. And, that's something that has come up for me a lot, especially after having kids. I was in such fight or flight, postpartum. I didn't have much of a libido. And so sex was painful because I was dry, or I wasn't saying what I liked, or, the connection wasn't there, like I mentioned.
Well, like some women have had a baby pass through their vagina.
I mean,
And then
yes.
husband wants to have sex, and you're
Yes,
just like,
yes.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you,
No, but that's
I've
why they
heard
say
stories of my
wait,
own clients. They're like,
right,
Michelle.
wait, but it's not the same, I would say, for a lot of women, and especially like someone like me. I had an episiotomy, which is where they, sew up
tear,
in between the tear. And, without pelvic floor therapy, which is not recommended across the board, and it should be, even though
Well, even a C-section. So many women have
Right.
C-sections, but they don't get the follow-up
they
care.
don't get the follow-up, and
Yeah.
it's not recognized as a whole body trauma. Again, with the trauma that you're healing, that you don't feel the same, that this is tight and
that's
this
your
is
root,
different.
that's your
Yes.
sacral. That's your part. The joy
Yes.
energy center
Yeah.
is the sacral. And so sometimes women have, or they're afraid that their husband penetrates them. They had an episiotomy. And even though it's past the 6
Yes.
weeks mark,
The fear,
the
fear
that
gets
it's
to
something
you.
gonna tear,
Yes.
something gonna,
Yes.
or when their legs are up in the air
Yep.
and they're being deeply penetrated,
Yes.
there's this anxiety of, oh my God, what if something moves or something? So this is where it does help
exactly
to learn
it.
about your sexual
Yep.
anatomy, ladies. That's something that I teach, and I use pelvic models so women can actually see where their G-spot is, see how far deep their vagina goes.
Right.
And that's a part of the empowerment.
Right.
Get to know his anatomy, your anatomy,
Yeah.
and get to know your parts
Right.
for you.
I think that's, again, like I just keep hearing and I keep thinking about it, like, and I'm 37, so don't feel bad because I am just getting to the point, but thank
Thought you
goodness.
were younger.
Well, I mean, the truth is, like, again, a different generation, a different time, social media, like I never would have thought to even know what Tantra is, or the idea of like sex therapy, or, I happen to have a really good OB who it's a man, and I swore I would never go to a male OB because, again, with men and don't touch me, but thank goodness, listened to a recommendation because I was suffering from, we spoke about it, from yeast infections, and I needed to find someone who cared. And he gave me so much time, so much attention. And he was the one that said, like, Daniela, everything looks okay. I think you're scared. And it was a fear of reactivating the infection every time. And so I would tense, I would tighten and be raw, basically. And I was hurting myself. And my poor husband, like, would tell me, like, Daniela, just let me know we need more lube, or this doesn't feel good. And I wouldn't, because I was stuck in the cycle of, well, I need to please him, and then he won't love me. And then if I can't perform, we won't be connected, and he might stray. And all of these things that we put on ourselves as women that I'm sure that you hear all the time, because I hear it all the time. Like,
well, it's unconscious.
Totally.
We're like, I'm a people pleaser. So many of the women is so accepted. And it's so in everything that we don't even notice.
Yeah. And we're givers. So we're, you know, we're mothers or wives. And so we give. But like,
them to be
what?
happy.
Yes. We want them to be happy.
At the cost of our vagina. So the vagina massage, this is why it's so important for women to get to know their vagina, get to know the opening.
But it's scary, like you said.
Yeah,
like,
know that
you
it's
know,
like sometimes.
Can I touch myself? Is this okay?
I think of landmines.
Okay.
Because you know how you get trigger points? Sometimes people get trigger points in their shoulders. And it's like a little dot of tension. So in the walls of the vagina, there's a lot of memory. And it's like going through a...
I've heard that,
through a I'm thinking of Central Park right now, the graffiti on the walls.
Yes.
You know how there's these little tunnels? So imagine, ladies, if you could reflect, you know, what's written on my walls of my vagina. If these walls
that makes
could
so much
talk,
sense.
what's the stories? What are the stories that we've kept in there? And we don't even know that they're there. So some women have angry vaginas. And vagina is the tunnel of love, I call it, that leads to your cervix. And it's a smooth muscle. So that's the internal pathway to the cervix, the opening of the uterus. And some of us have very tense vaginas because we have to. Somebody tried to get in there. Someone did get in there. Something very painful may have happened, so the body protects us. And it's actually happening for us to cope with that pain. And so some of us are locked in that flight or fight protection mode for 30 years, 40 years,
not even
50
knowing it.
years, not even knowing it. And then what do? We avoid intimacy. We marry a partner that is not sexual so that we'll never get triggered. And we're so brilliant how we do that. We just know, you know, a person that doesn't prioritize that. And so then by the time maybe we're 40, 50, 60, we have that midlife crisis, they say. But it's really, to me, a spiritual awakening.
I agree.
Where your body manifests fibroids, endometriosis, yeast infections. You know, when we look at the healthcare system, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with, women and men, that manifest prostate cancer.
I've heard that. I've heard that, yes.
Chronic vulvar, there's also vulvodynia.
Which is the
pain.
What is that?
The pain of the outside of the vagina.
Yes.
And so what do? We treat it, right?
Creams.
But what I have learned from the wisdom of working with people for 30 years is that your body is attempting to communicate where we can process emotions, heal, transform back to love and pleasure and bliss. And so just medicating or putting drugs into our body doesn't necessarily change your relationship to your vulva, your relationship to your vagina, and your sexuality. And that's why I became a hypnotist, a neurolinguistic programming practitioner, a Psych K facilitator. I educated myself about EFT tapping, working in energetic psychology techniques. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, but I have learned about the mind-body-soul connection and the energy medicine. I mean, I've taken so many different trainings that my physical therapy background never addressed emotional, chronic pain as the body is simply sending a message, help me to heal this. So I must create yeast infections. I must create endometriosis for you to wake up and heal your sexual trauma. So the amazing thing is when we transform that wound into wisdom, the symptoms go away. You don't have that anymore happening. Even cancer, people go into cancer remission And I'm not saying that this is for everyone.
Right.
But we're not talking about it enough. I guess
Yeah.
that's why I'm sharing now.
I agree.
And we just assume, get it out of me, take it out of me, or give me a drug for that. But your body's actually wise, and it's not a terrible thing that you got that symptom or diagnosis.
Right.
So you can always just look at it as, thank you, body. Wow, fibromyalgia. What a wonderful idea. Maybe I'm taking too much personally and holding in way too much, and I don't know how to breathe with my diaphragm.
Yes.
Honestly, a lot of what I see is people don't know how to breathe in a way that promotes healing. And so diaphragmatic breathing, but then also we're holding shame, guilt, judgment, criticism, blame, hatred towards whoever hurt us, unforgiveness. We're walking around carrying all this, and the body's saying, man, I'm so stressed out because I'm so resentful all day.
Right.
And so all that cortisol.
Absolutely. I was thinking
That's
the
why
same
you're not going to
thing.
heal much,
Right.
because you're not helping your healing system to heal because you hate everybody, or you're so mad at what's happening in the world.
Right.
So this is where learning about the science of oxytocin, the love hormone, has been another addition to my practice.
I love that.
Where we are learning about the love hormone.
Yeah.
And so the love hormone happens to be also the orgasm hormone.
Right.
And it is the hormone when we breastfeed, when moms breastfeed their children, the bonding hormone.
Okay.
It's the orgasm hormone when you sing. And mind you, when you're singing connected to your heart, because sometimes people sing, but they're judgmental about their singing.
Yes.
So that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
When you hug someone, when you hold, or when you pet, when you have a pet and you're petting your pet, massage. So there's certain actions we can take that will be more love enhancing.
Yes.
And today I offer these workshops, Aligned to Love, the Science of Love, and that's where the ALVA Method came from.
It'll all be linked.
Amplify Love, Vibrate Abundance, because the love hormone actually is the healing hormone.
Yeah.
So if anybody's sick out there and you just amplify more your love hormone, you will heal.
Yes.
You will release, because it's also the releasing hormone. And this is what I've learned, and what I'm really passionate these days, after all the different things I've learned, many different certifications, the more I simply don't judge myself and accept and forgive and let go of the past, and it's a constant practice, the more I default to love, acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, gratitude, appreciation, I'm amping up my oxytocin. So the amazing thing is, when you're around a person that has higher levels of oxytocin, the way nature created it is whoever has the higher amounts takes everybody who is lower to a higher. So oxytocin is very powerful. So when people say, oh, I don't want to be around her energy, she's negative, you just lowered your vibration by saying that. So if you just walk into a room as love, and you just be unconditionally loving, accepting, compassionate, and stay strong in that, you will actually elevate the Debbie Downers.
I agree.
You're gonna get them to rise up.
Yes.
So when people tell me, Michelle, how do you protect your energy? I say, I don't. I'm just radiant as the sun. And I'm just gonna, I show up as love.
Right.
So
and the sun warms everything.
I help others to warm up in the room when I walk into the room.
You do.
I don't even think about who's being quote unquote negative, because I don't even think like that. And I do practice as much as I can to come back to compassion. So anybody that doesn't like me, quote unquote, or when people say, I'm not ready for you, Michelle, or I know you can help me, but I'm not ready for you. I say now, you're not ready for your own self, feeling joyful in your own beingness. And I can totally relate, because that was the hardest thing for me. It's almost like everybody's suffering in the world, so how dare I tap into my joy? Who am I to be happy when there's so much suffering in the world? But little did we know that you praying for others, wishing well for others, those that are suffering, you're benefiting yourself and you're benefiting the collective. And so today I do a lot of these private, small prayer circles where I studied The Power of Eight by Lynn McTaggart. And she says that when you pray for someone else, you benefit more, you heal more by praying for others and being altruistic. So wishing well to others, doing service to others where you genuinely want to.
Yes.
Like me bringing the cacao.
Yes.
Yesterday I was with my friend Luis Jimenez from Cacao Sol, and he brought us the bottles, and it's my favorite cacao. So immediately when I received the cacao, I was thinking of you because I'm going to see you today. I'm like, oh my God, I have to bring some for Daniela.
Yes.
And I realized I love to share. And like the coconut, you know, I love chopping coconuts. I love bringing people coconut milk and coconut water. And so I realized, but of course I give to myself too. I'm no longer living as the people pleaser floor mat, like the doormat. I used to be the doormat where I want to give you everything. It's all about you. So today I fill my cup and then I have more to give. And it comes from a sincere desire to give.
I love that.
Which people can feel that too.
Yes.
And I really feel that's the
It's one of the love languages.
Transformational versus transactional. So that's another thing. Love gives genuinely. Love doesn't give because it thinks it has to. That's not love. But we do have that a lot in the planet. I can feel that when sometimes people, they want something from me or they want me to help them with something. So I've come into this place where I feel as much as I can.
That's incredible.
And I'm so grateful for Tantra. And then my intuition will wake me up to record something. You know, will wake me up because I'm so open now. But before I was very blocked. I was holding on to a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of self-loathing because I didn't feel worthy of love. So today I see how things just come to me easier that I would like them to be in my life. Like you, you know, this opportunity to share here.
Thank you,
And so people were naturally designed to be magnetic. We're designed to be loving. And that's why when we judge ourselves or judge others, we don't feel good. We genuinely do not feel our highest. And that's the thing with social media. What does it say under the post? Comment. So right away, we're asking for comments, which a comment is you're not in the moment. You're not feeling in the moment. When you make a comment, that comes from the mind. So social media to me doesn't make me happy. This is something that I've been struggling with. Where I like to share posts and I like people to have, you know, it's good for business. But recently, these Power of 8 small circles where we pray for each other or we're wishing well or praying for others or for the world, I've been finding so much intimate connection. This is not sexual, it's a healing circle. But how beautiful to spend 4 hours with people at a time and come back to this. Kind of, it's like what you're creating here in the podcast where I could just be myself. This is a safe container. So each one of your interviews is a healing, is a circle of intimacy.
It has been. I feel like it has been healing for me, healing for my guests, healing for my audience. I mean, I'm so thankful I get messages of like, I didn't know I was feeling that way. Or thank you for talking about that. Where was this 2 years ago? And like, that's the fuel, that's the fire. And that's what you're doing also, touching these women, letting them know that this option's available to them because like I didn't. And so the double-edged sword of social media, if I didn't know you because of Leo, like hopefully I would have found you, but I see other Tantra therapists. But, you know, there is that pressure, you know, you want to post or you want people to think of you a certain way, or they say, you know, you post all the beauty on social media, not the background noise. And people get caught up in that. But then you also get your knowledge. But I think the thing that I want my audience to really take away, because I really reframed this actually with you the other day, because I was really in a moment where I was really struggling with my vagina. I was struggling and I was crying and, you know, why am I broken? And you know, it fucks with your feeling of being loved, you know, being a woman, you know, like that beauty, that full body prettiness, the everything, the being wanted. But also I think what's so important is like when you and I work together, it's very clear, like, I don't want this to be sexual. I just want to love my own body. Everything about it, because that was really hard for me also, like going
Sensually,
through,
femininely.
In just being open to being touched. I think as basic as I really don't enjoy being touched
And
for
on your
so many
terms.
reasons, on my terms, and just being open, not even noticing that like maybe I like to be touched on my fingers or on my hands, or, you know, for me and for a lot of women, and you're a mom and a mom of multiples, we're overstimulated. We're overtouched. Our cups are frequently empty. And that causes stress and that causes anger. And it's really hard to then want to shut off. Like I have learned, and Leo and I make time once the kids go to sleep. It took a really long time to shut down. Okay, kids are asleep. Compartmentalize.
But that's when usually I would be like, I just want to be alone now. I want to go take a bath.
So that is
and
part
then feeling
of it
like,
also.
oh my God, he wants to be with me.
Correct. And I think
my legs go like this, you know.
That's part, exactly. It's how to find that balance and how to learn to be alone with yourself as a woman. And how can I...
And see that that's even important.
Yes.
That it's even a thing.
100%.
So can I share on that?
Yes.
If anybody here feels similarly that they don't have enough time, that they don't have enough, that they're overstimulated. So that is a blessing. It's a signal from your body. So the first step is thank you, body.
Yes.
So not looking at it as bad.
Right.
And then we say, of course I feel that way.
Of course.
So that's one of the techniques when I work with people as a mindset coach.
Yes.
She might be like, but oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yes.
So you say, of course I do,
Yeah.
as a way of accepting how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we feel bad that we're feeling overwhelmed.
Correct.
Or we feel bad.
And there's
that
the
we're-
judgment.
Exactly. And so, of course, I feel that way. So that's step number one.
love that.
And then I ask people to lay down and open up their arms. So I'm opening up my arms, open up your legs and make space. You could lay on the carpet, you could lay on your bed, lay in the grass, that's the best. And just make yourself open, because a lot of times we don't feel we even have the space to be ourselves.
Yes.
And that comes from childhood, where your parents say, be quiet, stop being so loud. Or so we're walking around as adults, parents, and we manifested this situation where we think we don't have enough time, but it's coming from this pattern that we are too big, or we have to be smaller,
Yes.
or we can't take up so much space, I can't be a burden. And so
Yes.
today, with what I know, it starts in the physical posture. Your physical posture is your subconscious mind. And I learned this in Psyche and in hypnotherapy. So how is everybody feeling? Are you feeling comfortable opening up your arms and legs?
Right.
Or do you feel that's awkward? How often do you do it?
Yeah.
Children don't mind,
No,
you know?
it's true.
So that would be another technique. Of course I am. Open up your body, get naked, you know, literally
Yes.
lay down naked with
Literally,
yourself.
yes.
Look in the mirror and open up your body. And those are intimacy practices with yourself.
Yeah.
And then get some coconut oil, sesame oil, almond oil, whichever one you want.
Yeah.
Rose, I highly recommend, because it's the
Yes.
unconditional love oil.
Yes.
And give yourself a massage,
Right.
whether you're a man or a woman listening to this. Touch yourself where you do feel it's comfortable, and then forgive yourself if you don't feel comfortable touching yourself anywhere else.
Yeah.
But you could say, of course I don't feel comfortable touching myself. Of course I feel like I just want to, you know, and so that is where it begins.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
rather than think you have to perform or be something for your partner, the first step is accepting, and then maybe it's also accepting that you don't accept yourself.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
whatever it really is.
Yes.
And then journaling. I recently have been writing so much more, just pen to paper,
Yeah.
and writing how I feel, writing my thoughts. So I highly recommend. It's such a great way to release.
Yes,
I don't
so
know if
healing.
you do that also.
You know, it's something that I struggle with.
Of course you do.
Of course I do, because I guess it's a few things, like getting, you know, stuck in my thoughts, even though you do get it out pen and paper. The end
You
result
could also
is,
record your voice.
Yes, I
for
think I
people
was
that don't
just
wanna
going to
write.
say that has worked for me.
Because I give myself messages.
Yes.
I remember going back with a lover that I knew was wrong for me.
Yeah.
And I left myself a message saying, Michelle, you're better than this.
My goodness.
And I forgive you. And this is your blind spot. Of course, you're attracting yet another unavailable emotional man.
Right.
That's been my pattern in the past.
So powerful.
And it's been like my blind spot. I feel a lot of us have blind spots. And it's not a mistake that I went into this field, that we tend to attract working with the people that we are that person.
Yes.
And so I realized these patterns, and I used to be so ashamed that I'm all about love. You know, I love, love, love. But then when it comes to meeting someone that I'm romantically attracted to,
Right.
and especially if he's much younger than me, you know, I'll be like, oh, no, 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 you know, right away just discount a man.
Yeah.
But that was more protecting myself.
Yep.
Because I don't want to get hurt. And I do the work.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
thought I was pretty healthy.
Yes.
And so realizing my own patterns, I just had to share that, because so many of us coaches we think, you know, you think some people are so great and perfect. We all got something that we're working on.
Absolutely.
And so why are we so hard on ourselves? Nobody, and I think that's been the fun thing, is just laughing at myself more. And saying, of course you're doing that, Michelle, and it's okay that you're afraid. And so hugging myself, I'm putting my arms around my hands around my arms right now, and just giving myself a hug, because that's another one of the techniques that have helped me so much, that I have literally spent time crying in the sauna and just sitting and crying and holding myself. And until I really learned a couple years ago how to sit and just do nothing in the sauna, mind you. It was in the sauna. I remember these moments.
That's incredible.
Where I thought to myself, how is anybody ever going to want to be with me if I can't even be with me?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, and really resonates, because I think that's huge. Like, back to the point of being so disconnected, that, you know, definitely went through that. And I think that's why, like, the word seasons really resonates with me, because it's so important. And I think about it all the times, two things: that's where we were, and that's okay. That was the best we had at that time. And then now we have a new opportunity with this new self and what we've learned to be who we are now. But there's always room to grow. There's always room to love. But really, and again, like, this is still new, like, learning to love me, and not a new person, but like, who is the essence of Daniela? Who am I? What do I want? You know, how many kids, and, you know, how many businesses, or whatever it may be. Just, you know, being in touch with my new journey is being out in the sun, and being able, something that you just said that really was like an aha moment for me, like, coming off of psychiatric medicine. And I've been on it since, I don't know, 24, 26, something like that, 37 now. So years. And there was a point that I would have said that you were crazy if you told me it came off. Like, there's no way. I'm not going to be able to survive. I'm going to have a panic attack. There's no way. And panic would ensue, thinking that I wasn't going to have this help. But the truth is, and like, speaking to women like you, and you know, functional nutritionists, and opening my mind to the idea that the root is my body, the food that I eat, the sunlight, the touch.
Well, vitamin D is, if I could share.
Of course.
Vitamin D stimulates the love hormone.
I keep saying it, because this is what this podcast is about.
So if you want more love in your life,
yes.
When was the last time you woke up, people, after you made your morning poopy? Hopefully you do that. That's also love. Release that poopy. And you can release whatever else you want to when you release. That's another ritual that I tell people, like, what other shit are you holding on to that you want to release?
Literally. Like,
and you can do that every day.
Holding on to everything. Yes.
And so how many of us are saying, well, do you know how to release? How to have real ease?
Yes.
So many of us, a part of our love journey is about sitting with whatever crap we feel and not trying to change it.
Which is so hard.
I think that was my aha moment. And I do this for a living. You see what I mean?
Yes, of course.
How so many of us are so protective. So I've had so much compassion with myself, because I was like, Michelle, of course, to me, the ultimate healing is to have a partner that I really have as a partner, one partner, because that means that person is going to see me the deepest. And I'm talking about a partner. This is what I feel I've been working on with myself.
I love that.
Is becoming that partner for myself, where I won't reject myself and I will just love and wish to love and understand myself in my pains, in my discomforts, in my shaming, that I'll stay with myself. So I used to abandon myself a lot. I would get lost in others. I would get lost in other relationships. I would help others when they weren't even paying me, you know? And so that's where I'm at right now, is really knowing when to put the boundary, say no. You can imagine I'm so loving, like everybody wants to be around a loving goddess, right?
Of course.
So I know now how to speak up for Michelle. And I've been building the trust over these past 2 years, especially with little Michelle.
Incredible.
And and it comes up a lot. That you don't have to be afraid. You're safe. I'm loyal to you. Because I used to cheat on myself a lot. And give myself up. And I didn't even matter. So now my work is catching myself.
I love how you phrase that. Cheating on yourself because you weren't true to you, loving you.
So like if I'm offering to help you, but in reality I have tons of laundry or stuff at my home. I check in with my bedroom, which it could be more neat. But the whole thing would be not happening for me. But I'll help you because then I'm somehow distracting or making myself feel better about myself by helping someone else. So that's like that is the wounded healer that I was most of my life. So today I feel I'm more of a queen that is conscious of herself, a sovereign woman, a loving woman that also wishes to have as much compassion for everyone. So rather than get sad because somebody doesn't want to be orgasmic, or, you know, a lot of times I hear women saying, I have no idea what you do. And I have to say, like, I'm curious, but I'm scared. And so I don't take it personally anymore. Thank God.
Well, that's why I wanted to share you with everyone, because again, going back to that, like, I say it and I see everyone's face like, oh, or some who know think of it very sexual, very, you know, to that point, either doing it because I want to be like a sex freak or I'm trying to please my husband, as opposed to doing it for myself because I don't know a few things, how to love myself physically, and the integration of the body with the mind. And something that you always say, and you might have said, but I love how you say it, that like, you know, we go to therapy for our mind and we go to the gym for our body and we, you know,
the energy healer,
the energy healer, yes,
for the energy body.
Exactly. But like enjoying the physical, I can't say it enough, like enjoying physical touch and like, because, and still like, you know, honestly with you and it is okay. And something that we talk about, I am guarded very often.
Of course you are.
Of course I am. But it's such a good experience because of the word you said, safe. And when you're allowed to explore or question or want to know more in a safe space, that's when you learn and that's when you heal. But like there is literally a disconnect, like for women who maybe have not been sexually abused or have and don't realize it, or, you know, something happened that there's a disconnect.
But also if we're too much in our head,
that too,
we just start to think that's normal. And we become that.
Exactly.
So the other thing is, if you analyze yourself, criticize yourself, the brain becomes whatever we do. And we're being very much served to be critical because of social media, television, seeing all these perfect movie stars that come to know how horrible their lives are. Honestly, like for me, the more I have become connected to myself, I feel my makeup is my tan. And people are always like, oh my God, you don't wear much makeup. And I'm like, well, the sun is my makeup. And
you have
that's
beautiful rosy cheeks.
but like I personally feel when I wear more makeup, I don't see who I am. And I don't even know who. And I did do a photo shoot like with this glamour puss. They paid me and they put makeup on me, and I looked so freaking hot that I was like, makeup's not that bad.
Perception,
but it's a different kind of beauty.
For
that
sure.
To me today, I think I feel more beautiful. Ever since I was pregnant, I had my daughter, I breastfed her. I feel like the things that make me feel beautiful is how my body gave love to my
love that.
daughter.
Yeah.
I love myself more being a mom.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how like our perception of love.
Absolutely.
But I felt like saying, I feel our journeys to loving ourselves is about sitting with the lack of love and still staying and choosing to love, even when we feel unlovable.
I agree. And I think that's beautiful. And I love that because it just connects episode after episode, like women's self-worth and knowing that we're lovable and accepting who we are, our faults, our flaws, doesn't matter. But loving ourselves is the first step. And honestly, for most of us, like that's not what we're taught from the get-go. Like our childhood is not to...
And knowing that it comes from within you.
Yeah.
Mind you, we do learn about the love hormone. This is the interesting part is when we look at oxytocin, how our parents touched us.
Yeah.
So a baby being held and being carried and being on their mom's chest, for example, breastfed, there's a lot of love. And Ashley Montague, there's this book called Touch. I learned this in infant massage training. They did this study where they wanted to see what are the effects of not touching infants.
Yes, I've read that study, yeah.
And they died.
Yeah.
They had to stop the study because the infants were dying. They were in orphanages.
Yeah.
So we do learn how to be loved by our parents, our primary caregivers. But then ultimately that feeling of love, you can create it yourself.
I love that.
By massaging yourself. You can create it also by loving where you're at. That's where the, of course you are, helps. But it's also about saying, and this is the mindset part, the NLP, I choose to be open to loving the most unlovable parts of me.
Yeah.
I choose to be open to forgiving the unforgivable me.
Yeah.
I choose to accept the unacceptable me. And I choose to love the unlovable me.
Yes.
So the journey is not, I want to learn how to love myself. It's more, I want to learn how to just be accepting of the here and now version of myself.
Right.
And to also have peace about who I am right now. Because of course I had to become that person.
Yes.
So for me, the whole thing with opening up my heart with another person, of course I had to learn about the science of love.
Yes.
I had to learn how to be closed because then I could have the contrast of open.
Yes,
so
exactly.
there's so much fertilizer from all the shit
I love that.
that I went through.
Right.
And that's another part of what I offer in the ALVA Method is the shit stands for strengthen, heal, imagine something new, and thrive.
I love that.
So on the path to having the juicy fertilizer from all the crap that happened to us, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, I've been abused for 10 years, or my mother was so toxic. And so my mom was very hard on me. My mom was very mean, but I have so much fertilizer. I have grown that today I have an amazing relationship with my daughter because of all the suffering that I felt my mother would be so critical of me and say things about my physicality. And I've never done that to my daughter. I've never, so now I could be grateful that and forgive. And mind you, I've let go of a lot of anger, a lot of sadness.
Still working on it.
And that led me to then create the ALVA Method.
love that.
So that as we were sitting in my balcony, I don't know if you remember, but if you could share how things just came up and out. There was tons of emotional farting. You know what I mean? Like maybe just releasing because you were so open to it that we don't have to be walking around a depressed person. And that's the part when we just give people medication.
Yes.
The medication is not teaching you
Band-Aid.
how to be a flowing faucet running, letting yourself drain your own emotional toxicity that we created by our own perceptions. And this is the part where people say, well, my dad was very abusive. My ex-husband is this, that. But in reality, you're hurting yourself because you made up those stories about your dad, about your ex-husband or your friend, your brother, whoever, that we are the ones. And so that's where I love hypnosis, NLP, because we can reframe the charge of hurtfulness that we ourselves perceived from our mom, so you might say, well, my mom used to hit me. You know, I wasn't making that up. It's not just my perception. But still the severity, because sometimes we make excuses for our parents and say, well, my mom, she was very hurt. Of course, she had to hit me, and it doesn't affect them so much. But then another person might be like, oh my God, I can't believe my mother was so hurtful.
Yes.
And then it weighs on you, and then you create all these autoimmune problems. Or so I see today that we don't normalize it enough, that yes, your perception of what trauma you had, perceiving it, is 90% of why you're manifesting your problems in your physical body.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about it like that. What do? We just give them a drug. Well, you need to be on this for God knows how many years.
Right.
But then we're not addressing the root problem. And that's why today I work in the root, in the anal area, the hips, the sexual organs, where a lot of us are holding shame, guilt, blame. And so even just massaging your own booty, for people out there, when was the last time you just caressed your hips?
Right.
When a dog is afraid, their little tail goes down.
Yeah.
And so how many of us are walking around in fear with a very tight ass?
Yeah.
When people say I have a pain in my ass.
Yes.
Well, of course you do. And sometimes I say to people when I'm working with them, is there a pain in the ass in your life? And they're like, myself.
Right.
Or they'll say, my mother-in-law. It'll just come.
Right.
And so owning it, that's, of course there is. That's the part where we just own it. Own whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
Your feelings matter.
Yeah.
And then feel it in the body. Take a deep breath. I'm kind of walking people through the process.
I love that. I'm doing it now.
And the deep breathing is medicine. Just taking a deep breath and then, whatever the emotions are. And this is great to do in the shower.
Right.
Or at the ocean where there's the water.
Yeah.
Like after my mom passed away, I would go to the ocean extra and just cry and let the waves hit my chest. So nature is so healing. Nature helps us so much.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because something that I learned because I was covering up my emotions. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to feel, and it caused panic. Just recently, I've been crying and no longer feeling like, oh, that means I'm depressed or, there's something wrong with me. Like just releasing, and wow, that was great. But again, it goes back to judgment, because then people say to women oh, you're crying again. Oh, you're so emotional. Oh, get over it. And just being gentle. I think that's what I get from you also. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind with yourself. Feel what you're feeling, because that's what's most healing. And
yes.
It's true. I think a final thought, and I need you to share this because it just came to me. So with your relationship with religion and how, it was harmful, how did you find, because I genuinely need to know this for myself, how did you find that belief that you constantly say the divinity, the one, the source? How did you shift? How did you believe
that I was divine, that there is a divinity?
Yes, moving away from religion, because
well, I have to say Greg Braden.
Okay.
He just published a book called Pure Human, P-U-R-E, Human.
Okay, I have to
and
read
it's
it.
interesting because my incorporated is pure, has the word pure in it, pure self.
Yes.
And so he actually did a lot of research over 17 years in this one specific, and in the book, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes, he says that in different religious practices and different ways of the DNA in our cells, there's a message in our DNA, the way that the structure of the DNA is, that we are God, eternal, within the body.
Yeah.
So each one of us, how we're looking for God, we are God of God.
Yeah.
So I am Michelle of God, you're Daniela of God.
Yeah.
And all of us, everything that is alive is made by the same God. Whether you're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, we are all here on the same earth with the same trees, and we're of divinity. That's what we're actually from.
Yeah.
And so these diseases are actually spiritual awakenings. The diseases that we think are bad are I can't tell you how many people I've worked with cancer that tell me, I'm so grateful now that I have the cancer, whether they heal it or not,
right.
because it caused them to change their job.
Yes.
It caused them to put themselves first. It caused them to get that divorce or change the dynamic of their marriage or speak up.
Right.
Because now they're like, I'm going to die. So in a way, I joke about it sometimes saying like everybody needs to pretend that they're going to die in a week. Like, what would you do
Only thing
differently? Or you
guaranteed,
you got a disease
Yes.
that is not gonna, how would you live differently? What did you say?
It's the only thing that's guaranteed.
Right.
The only thing. So absolutely, what
Because
you
how many
like,
of us are sitting there and we're in that job right now, maybe listening to
Right,
this podcast.
right.
And so this is where we get to, for me, having these amazing teachers, Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, over the past 30 years, I think too that my relationship with God beyond religion has helped me my whole life.
I love
So I started journaling, having a diary. My dad gifted me my first diary, and I still have it when I was 8 years old. And I wrote to God. I would
love
write
that.
to God,
I love
and I kept all my diaries. And I really feel that's why I left Catholic religion when I lost my virginity, and the teenager was Jewish. So on top of the fact that I lost my virginity, the boy was Jewish, and I don't even think I knew any Jewish people until then.
Yeah.
And so I put this idea, oh my God, you're gonna burn in hell.
Yeah.
You're not a virgin, and the guy's Jewish. And so you can't even be seen in church. You can't take the Holy Communion anymore.
Right.
And you're not gonna go tell the priest.
Right.
So I stopped going to church when I was 17.
Yeah.
And I was in a Catholic high school.
Yeah.
But I stopped being involved in it because I felt I was dirty.
Yeah.
And imagine the weight of that. And so all that internalized in my deepest genitals
Yes,
parts.
right.
And I looked depressed. Like any high school picture you see of me, I had really long hair. I would just cover myself, and I was just dissociated. I was like a zombie,
Yeah.
basically. There was
Dissociated.
no
Yes.
glow in my eyes.
That's a good word.
And I created that.
Yeah.
So this is the important thing.
Right.
The person that was that first person that I lost my virginity with,
Yeah.
loving guy, nice Jewish family.
Yeah.
He, years later contacted me on Facebook. He's like, Michelle, I heard your video and you were talking about me. And like, I didn't even know all that happened to you.
Yes.
And now I understand why you were so angry when we broke up.
Yes.
But I blocked all that out.
Yeah.
I never even remember how we no longer were together.
Right.
And I acted like I was in love. I acted because I just wanted to cover that up,
Yeah.
that I lost my virginity with that person.
Right.
So instead of being a whore and labeled as a whore,
Yes.
which I did all that,
Right.
let me date this guy. Let me
Yeah.
be with this guy
Yeah.
so that everything's normal.
Yes.
And we make excuses for men.
Yes, we
You know,
do.
this is the thing that I want to say. Are you making an excuse for your man? Because I did. I did it many times, and I don't even know where I learned that.
Yeah.
But I notice a lot of us do this.
A lot of us.
It's like an unspoken thing
Yeah.
that is pervasive,
Yeah.
that I want to talk about it.
I
So
agree.
if
And
anybody
thank
else
you.
can relate, please write about it to us.
Please.
Share.
I mean, thank you, because everything that you've shared here today is so powerful. And I absolutely agree. I think it's society, it's so many schemas is the word that I keep thinking of, because I did some schema therapy, and we literally create this vision, this movie, this perception. Our thoughts may not be accurate. And that was really hard for me for a long time, that like I may be thinking that, but that might not be the truth. And unlocking that and just taking things for what they are, and being in touch with yourself and being in touch with your body and meeting people like you, and knowing that there's a path of forgiving yourself, forgiving God, you know.
You didn't know any better.
You didn't know any better. And I think that's so important. We didn't know any better. And that was a past season, a past
So how could we be
journey.
upset with ourselves, right? It's like when
Exactly.
you have a child, you're not upset with your child because
Right.
they're sad and angry and having
Right.
emotions.
Right.
You just love them no matter what.
Yeah.
And they didn't know any better, or
Right.
if a child breaks something,
Yeah.
they didn't mean to hurt, and yet we treat ourselves like that.
Yes.
We are angry at ourselves. And so today, and I think it's partly because my mother transitioned right in front of me. She passed away in front of me.
Yeah.
And my mom, I always wanted to convince her that Tantra was amazing.
Yes.
You could imagine my Catholic Peruvian mom. She'd be like, why are you posting about sex on
Yes.
Facebook?
Right.
No man is going to want to date a woman that talks about sex.
Right.
And
Back
I
to
would
the
be like,
man.
Mom, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be one man, that's her opinion.
Yeah.
But you don't know how much of that went into my unconscious.
Oh, of course.
But I realized when my mom transitioned how I wish I would have just let her speak, let her be herself, because I could just learn from my mother's hatred towards men.
Yeah.
Mind you, my mom was touched inappropriately by a priest, by her uncle, by her babysitter.
I believe it.
When I asked my mother tons of questions using
Right.
NLP, I had a one day
Yes.
that I was like, wow, no wonder my mother is so shut down.
Right.
But that's where today, no matter how old a woman is, your sexuality matters.
Yes.
Your vagina matters.
Yes.
And if your walls could talk, what would they say?
Yeah.
And it is our God-given gift to have joy and pleasure. There's a reason we were given 9,000 pleasure nerves in our clitoris
Incredible.
for free.
I know.
So what if
Incredible.
that
And we don't know that. I didn't know that.
could be medicine.
9,000.
And remember, the pleasure hormone is the love hormone.
Yeah.
So ladies, the more you discover the pleasure within yourself, for yourself, you're actually healing yourself.
Yeah.
And this is what led me to then the divinity. You can actually feel the presence of God when you have pure bliss. There's
love that.
there's a way of the psychedelic mind. We can actually have more bliss hormone, bliss molecules, which is oxytocin, endorphins, anandamides. We ourselves have those abilities to create the neurochemistry.
Yeah.
And that's what I do today is I guide people to these blissful body awakening sessions.
Incredible.
With just roses, feathers,
Yes.
my hands, very light, light. And people start to feel more this different way that is non-sexual.
Yes.
It's sensual.
Yes.
And it's very loving. It's divine love,
Yes.
divine touch.
Yeah, that's
I say
beautiful.
if you could imagine God touching you,
Right.
the most loving presence,
Ugh, I love
and then
that.
touch yourself like that. How many
Right.
of us can do that?
Right.
So the minute people start feeling that,
Yeah.
they start to cry.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh my God, I never felt myself so beautiful. But it's not beautiful physically, it's beautiful, this feeling of
Yes.
radiant divinity.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I feel I've accessed it more the more I just have chosen to let go of judging myself.
I love that.
And judging myself.
Yes.
So like, it's one thing to judge and then
Absolutely.
judging myself
And
for
then
judging
you
myself
absolutely.
again.
And then you're in that cycle. But
It's like the
that's-
layers have, thank God.
That's incredible. And you know what? I hope that today, like this resounds with people, that this could be the day, this could be the transformation day for them, that let it go, don't judge. It's okay that it happened. It's okay that if you're judging, but you don't need to hold on to that. And that is, I guess, my key point of working with you. And I hope that other women find you, and we're going to give them all the
And
information.
if you did find us, if you found this podcast, if you found Daniela's other awesome interviews, that means that you're already here.
Yes.
You're already
Beautifully
going through your
said.
seasons. You're already empowering yourself. We don't have anything that you don't have.
Yeah.
We're magnets. So this is the amazing thing is the only way you could have brought yourself to meet us
I love that, Michelle.
is because you're already vibrating
Yeah.
at that. And we just get to remind you. We get to remind you. And I just can't wait to get to know you better too. Daniela,
Yes.
thank you for saying yes.
Yes.
And because I feel, at your young 37, you're so inspiring to me
Oh, wow. Thank you, Michelle.
of how, just unabashedly sharing if it comes up. And yeah, so you doing that helps me to do that. And that's where this podcast, whatever we helped others to open up to, the other thing is we're all one.
Yes.
We're not separate. So your healing is my healing is your healing.
beautiful.
And so maybe today somebody wants to share this podcast. It touched you deeply. Share it with 10 friends.
Yes.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Yes.
This is what I love to do. I told everybody, that's why I got the kick out today.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be in this podcast with this woman. And that's altruism. That's abundance is sharing.
Thank you.
That is love.
I agree.
That's what I meant to say.
I
is
agree.
Love is about sharing.
Yeah.
Love is about letting others know of something that could benefit them. And then you benefit from letting someone else know about this podcast. This is how love
Absolutely.
works.
Yes.
It's so awesome.
And the word that sat with me that came up right now is freedom. I think just being able to be true to yourself acknowledge yourself wherever you are is the ultimate freedom. It's the ultimate, like you say. And it's incredible. And I thank you for coming on this journey with me, because it's a journey that I'm going through.
There's layers of freedom. Like, as you
Yes.
say how free people tell me, Michelle, you're so free.
Yeah.
There's a little girl inside that has a vagina book. I wish to put my story out there more.
Yes.
And that's been the biggest fear for me. And I don't even really know what exactly the fear totally is, but I guess being vulnerable, right?
Yes.
For somebody to read your story and have that is the ultimate vulnerability. So,
Incredible.
yeah, there's layers of freedom, everybody.
There's so many layers, and this is just the beginning. So I will have you on again, because I'm sure months from now there'll be so much more to share as I open up and I learn. And that's why I wanted to have you, because it's only another layer of therapy. It's only another layer of healing to go through Tantra, to go through learning your body and being one with your body, and the nervous system, because I used to just panic. My nervous system was so rattled, as opposed to now when I feel your touch, I'm like, wow, all the nerves in my body are activated. What is that? And that's, again, freedom and opening
Safety.
and love and
Feeling
safety.
safe.
And trusting yourself is safety and being safe with yourself. And I would love for you to offer to the audience a last final thought, what they can take away and where to find you. And you can help so many women. And I thank you for being here, Michelle.
So for the ladies, thank you so much for being with us. And I just want to remind you all that you are so powerful, and whatever you believe about yourself is why you're experiencing what you're experiencing right now. So get a pen and paper, write about yourself, write about your feelings, then read them, record them, listen to them. And that's why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. We're not victims. I was a victim most of my life, but we're not. We can be victorious. And so whatever your wounds are, allow them to be your wisdom. And then don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others. Because even if you might not think you have much to offer people, whatever that transformation that you have created, that is a gift. Your transformation is a gift to others. It's not just for ourselves. And if you want to get more information, I would love to offer a 30-minute breakthrough call for anybody that wants to learn more about how to work with me. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, and I share the ALVA Method, the Amplified Love, Vibrate Abundance approach that teaches you the science of love. A part of that is also learning Tantra, the power of your words. I have a background in yoga, shamanism, sound healing, toning, using our voices. There's so much. So if it just calls you and you're like, I don't know what she does, but I feel like I want to reach out and schedule a call, I have that on my website, the access to that, or my YouTube channel, and it's Michelle Alva, ALVA TV. So pretty much if you just Google my name, you'll find my website, my YouTube, and I have meditations there. Have you gotten to listen to any of them?
I haven't, but I will.
Ooh, cool. Because the meditations take you inside.
I love that.
And there's over 120. I get woken up to record them. So there's one called Align to Love and Receive Your Breath, to receive your soul. So if anybody wants to feel more of their spirituality through their physical body, there's free meditations on Michelle Alva TV. And that to me is the gift that I give everybody. Because some people say, I can't afford to work with you, but I offer barters too.
Yes.
I don't want anybody to ever feel that they can't benefit from the services.
Incredible.
And that's another thing that maybe one day we can talk about, this whole money thing, that I feel our sexual energy helps us to be generous, to have enough, more than enough. So if anybody's struggling with lack and wants to be more abundant, come on and learn more at the, at the meditations. They'll help you as step one, because we are designed to be abundant. We are designed to thrive and have an abundant life. So it's our mindset that is what we get to shift out of scarcity into abundance.
I love that so much.
Nobody else is your problem.
Yes.
It's yourself that gets to be your victor.
Right.
You're
I
victorious.
love that. Victim to victorious. And I hear the words divine femininity.
Yes.
That's what came for me. Because that is beautiful. And I think getting back to that, your feminine self, because we're in a very masculine world, and we're
And
very
the divine masculine
Yeah.
is the one that sits in the sauna and holds space
Yes,
for that
beautiful.
wild ass crazy emotional breakdown.
Yes.
So just sitting is another in the divine masculine, which maybe that could be a whole other,
Yes.
the divine masculine. For you to hold space with yourself, to have all your emotions, you first get to be holding that for yourself. I think that's actually a big challenge for a lot of us.
Oh, it is.
Just
It is. Just sit with
You're right
yourself,
there.
your emotions, your
to
thoughts.
have your babies, you had to be
Yes.
in your divine masculine too, right?
We did, and we did it, and we're victorious.
Yes.
And I thank you for being here, Michelle. This was incredible. And please,
Thank you for having me.
like Michelle said, share, like, subscribe, follow along. Thank you for following in all the journeys, all the seasons of your life. You matter. We matter. Thank you again, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
Please reach out to her. Come to me with any questions. This journey, this path that you're offering is so beautiful.
Thank you being on that journey. Thank you for all that you share that
Thank
helps
you.
people. You're awesome. I want to jump over there and give you a hug.
Yay! Thank you again, everyone, and we will see you soon.